Hey guys, it's Indy. I thought it would be fun to do a little bit of malicious compliance today, so we're going to delve into that. For this first story, titled, If I Don't Like It, I Should Complain. If you say so. The summer between my freshman and sophomore years in college, I opted to take a Calculus 1 course at my local community college and transfer the credits back to my university on the other side of the state. The professor for this class was, in a word, egotistical. In another word, incompetent. This is a man that bragged that in all his years of teaching, not a single student received a 100% mark on any test. You may be able to guess where this is going. Throughout the semester, my classmates and I would argue with him constantly about his ridiculous grading and teaching methods. We once argued with him because he gave us a test for a unit he hadn't taught yet. But he didn't believe us, simply stating that we were trying to save face. He ended class that day by saying, "If you don't like it, complain to someone who cares. I've got tenure, you don't." Challenge accepted. That was the first time I sent an email to the head of the math department that semester. It was not the last. During our midterms, he said that we could take the test online and that we didn't need to show up. But if we did, there would be an extra credit opportunity. Needing all the help I could get, I went to class that day. He got offended that only 3 people showed up and turned the extra credit into a mandatory assignment worth about 25% of the midterm grade. That night, I took a screenshot of the e-learning page outlining the optional extra credit assignment for midterm day and his furious email to the class where he chunked the grades of everyone that didn't show up by a flat 25%. Got an 85% on the test but didn't show up. Now a 60%. Understandably, people were pissed. After the midterms, he came back to class and apologized for his outburst. He was in error and would now be teaching the unit that he had somehow skipped over, totally glossing over how he screwed a bunch of people over at the midterms. Now he decides the unit we skipped will have another test based on it, and it would be 2 questions, multiple choice. Hell yeah. We thought this would be easy. On test day, we got a single sheet of paper, and the score breakdown is written at the top of the sheet. 1 point for signing our names, 98 points for the first question, and 1 point for the second question. As soon as he had his back turned, I snapped a photo of the test with my phone. Why? Because the second question was a trick question disguised as a throwaway, and I remember his bragging about no 100%s. Question 2 seemed innocuous. Seemed. Which is the first Pokemon? Choose the most correct answer. A. Bulbasaur, B. Rhydon, C. Mew, D. Arceus. Some of you may know that all the answers are correct in some way. He wouldn't accept any one answer as the most correct. When the class was going over the answers to the test, he was proud to say that everyone passed, but nobody got 100%. There was confusion until he asked if anyone knew the answer to question 2. I ended up being the one to break the news that all answers were correct and how. He agreed with my assessment, yet still stood firm that none of us got it right simply by the wording. He was so smug that he got one over on us. That day was email number 3 to the head of the math department, which led to a woman in charge asking me to come to her office the next day explaining in more detail what was going on. So, I went to meet the head of the math department. Let's call her Dr. Math. Now, Dr. Math had me go through each and every email I had sent her and explain in as much detail as I could what had happened, how, and why. By the end of the meeting, she had a very full notepad and thanked me for the time and sent me on my way. My professor was not pleased that he received another warning from Dr. Math telling him to shape up and pull his head out of his butt. In comes Malicious Compliance. He decided that it was high time he stopped fussing about all the trivial stuff and got even more strict with the class rules, grading, attendance, you name it. He opted to stick close to the rules laid out in the college handbook that hadn't been updated in several years. One of the rules was that as soon as class began, the door was to be locked and nobody was to be allowed in late. This was especially problematic for us since class time was during rush hour in the middle of a downtown area. A lot of people, including myself a few times, missed out on the whole class because of traffic and had to immediately head home in that same traffic. Tension was slowly built and grades suffered until finals time when it all came to a head. He decided to take pity on us and have our final at the beginning of finals time so we could get it out of the way and have more time to focus on our other classes, or just have more free time. He then put up our final on the e-learning site and said that there was no on-campus meeting for the final class. Just take the exam and have a good rest of the summer. Paranoid as I was, I took a screenshot of that. Exam day comes and goes. I did decent with a 90%. And then I noticed my final grade was a big fat 0. He had changed the online message to state that the online exam was merely practice and that the on-campus meeting was moved to another day earlier in the week. We met on Thursdays. He set the exam for Tuesday, then edited the online post to say it was on Monday. The post had been edited on Friday. Screenshots all around and a lengthy email sent to the good Dr. Math. My grade was back to where it should have been and that professor had his employment terminated. TLDR, crappy professor is a butthole and tells us to complain to someone who cares because he has tenure. I do. He loses tenure and his job. Okay guys, after reading this post, I cannot stress it enough. You should look at Rate My Professor every time you go to sign up for another class. I am not kidding, dude. Like, Rate My Professor will save your life. If you go on that page and see that Professor Malicious Compliance has all negative scores and everybody is saying that they hate him, please don't sign up for the class. Just don't do it. It's so funny because I took an online class as well and I made sure to look at Rate My Professor before I did so. That was one of the easiest classes of my life. This next post titled, "Don't want to give me my 30-minute unpaid lunch? I'll give myself a paid 30-minute break instead." I've been working at this small retail store since the end of February. Everything was alright in the beginning, but the past month is the start of this slowly leaking crap show. The store manager, who ran the store pretty good, made sure the store ran right and everything was great, got a job closer to home, so she quit. For some reason, we didn't immediately get a new store manager or any temp manager. So this assistant manager, we'll call her BB, temporarily ran the store while we awaited a new store manager. In the one-ish week she ran the store, I've never experienced such a bad boss. BB was alright when I was first hired. Hell, she's the one who hired me. And she seemed nice and to the point in the beginning. But, oh boy, in the week she ran the store, I got to experience a whole different side of her. Friday evening, BB texts the work group chat and says there's a mandatory work meeting Saturday at 5. Saturday comes and I'm enjoying my day off and I get a text from BB asking if I want to work 5 to close. 9 p.m. but you gotta stay a little after and wait for the key holder person to do the deposit. I needed the extra time, so after I hesitated for a little bit, I said yes. After speeding up there and making an illegal pass and arriving 7 minutes late, I got on my truck and sped walked into the store and clocked in. I walked into the meeting with every other employee and the one and only BB. Let's just say the meeting was interesting. It was mostly just BB calling me slow and lazy in front of everyone. Red flag. I had never experienced straight disrespect like that in a work environment before. She also announced she was quitting in a couple weeks. I was excited when I heard that. She began to make up these unrealistic work standards for me. For example, stocking 4 to 5 totes in a 4-hour shift while running a register and I'm the only main cashier. And then she'd almost seemingly brag about how she's had major surgery and worked like twice the example amount in 2.5 hours and run the register. I drank Monsters and ruined my sleep to try and meet this girl's standards. I literally moved as fast as my body could and was sweating like I had just run a marathon. That Saturday night, she texted me asking me how many totes I had gotten done. Here's that short conversation. How many totes do you have done? I was moving as fast as I could. I was only able to get 2 done because of customers. Don't believe me? Then watch the cameras. I was checking the customers out as fast as I could. Swept the store as fast as I could. Okay, but knowing the SOP, you are supposed to do 4 or 5 totes in an hour, and that's with checking customers. You're gonna have to find some kind of way to multitask your skills. That is the only way you can move up. I guess I'll just have to snort a line before work. I drank a Monster before I started today. OP, this isn't a game with me. You've been working at the store long enough to be throwing more than 1 or 2 totes a shift. If I can throw 12 totes in 2.5 hours after a major surgery, I know you can throw at least 3 an hour. So you can either put forth more effort, or I can move you around and work the truck freight, which is 10 times the work. I'm done texting. I'll talk to you in person or on your next scheduled work day. On another note, thank you for coming in and working half of the other girl's shift. I'm being serious. I tried to do as much as I could. I checked the customers out as fast as I could. Besides full-on running the store, I don't know what else I could have done. At the end of the tirade, I was honestly ready to tell BB to kiss my butt and quit. I thought I was lucky when I didn't. We got a new store manager and she was nice and didn't make unrealistic standards for me. Sadly, she left after only a couple weeks. Husband's job required them to move. And yesterday is when I heard all of this and heard the worst news I had ever received in my life. BB was not leaving anymore. No, sadly, things had took a turn for the worse. BB is becoming the new store manager. BB asked me if I could come in to work an hour early to help finish the truck, so again, I just silently agreed and put the job before myself. Not only was it a mistake, it was the worst decision I've made. I worked 2 to close today. No biggie, schedule says I have 30-minute lunch today, even though I came in an hour earlier than I was scheduled. And I thought it was going to be alright. 5 came and I asked BB if my lunch break was going to be longer or the same since I came in an hour early. She replied, "You don't get a lunch break today. We got work to do because we're behind. Just take a 15-minute break." In return, I said, "Well, I guess that's better than nothing at all." I wanted to take that break then and there because I didn't eat much before I came in and I was expecting a 30-minute lunch. I brought what I was going to snack on during my break and I told the key holder I was going to take my break. Here's where it gets worse. He says, "We're too busy right now for you to take a break. Maybe after I finish half this rolltainer, we'll talk about it." So I continue to work and all I can think right now is about getting something to eat. I felt so hungry that I could barely concentrate on these bullcrap menial tasks. I helped this dude stock the rolltainer. When I was about to take my break, he says 7:15 to 7:30. So I'm like, alright, that'll do I guess. My break comes around and I finally go to sit and enjoy my snacks in this Mountain Dew that seems like heaven right now because I'm so dang hungry. This freaking key holder tells me I gotta watch the register while I'm on break. A freaking 15-minute break and this guy can't even run the register for me. My 15-minute break became shorter and shorter when I had to get up because some dude was ringing that piece of crap bell. I was trying to enjoy my last few minutes of break and read some good old Reddit when out of nowhere I hear ding ding ding. At that moment, I wanted to shove that bell up the customer's rear and tell them to be quiet and stop ringing it, but I didn't. I got up and came around the corner, walked up to the register, and went ding 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 with a dead serious face. Didn't say anything. Customer basically said they were just joking around. I said nothing and kept my dead serious look as I checked them out. I suppose this is what I get for digging that bell out of the trash to irritate my other coworker, who I also irritate by calling him Billy or Timmy sometimes, or sometimes Billy Bob. Anyways, that really pisses him off and is kind of funny. But after that customer and the ones that followed behind them, my break was over. The short 15 minutes I was allotted. So I got my snacks, Mountain Dew, and the freaking key holder was about to prepare for his break and just stood behind the register and finished my food and drink. He told me to continue working on candy, but I just stood there, finished what I had bought from my break, and in the end, totaled up about 30 minutes. A 30-minute on-the-clock break, all because BB wouldn't allow me to take a 30-minute unpaid lunch that I was scheduled. I also walked in front of the camera by the front door and made sure I was in view and held up the finger. I get the pleasure of going in tomorrow at 1 to close. Let's see if I get my 30-minute unpaid lunch so I can get something better than store snacks. Sorry for the sloppy storytelling. I'm new to it. Okay. As someone who's worked in retail, I can tell you there's nothing worse than losing a manager that you like so much and them being replaced by one you literally can't stand. I used to work at a fabric store and I had this manager who I loved. He was the greatest manager ever. He was so nice, maybe he asked me to come in longer than I wanted to, but he was nice about it. He, was never like a requirement or a necessity. He like actually gave a crap about my well-being, but then he got transferred to another store and he got replaced by one of the most demon-headed women I have ever met in my life. Suffice to say, I quit shortly after that. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed the stories. Let me know if you liked Malicious Compliance. I'll probably be doing some more of these because these are pretty interesting. I kind of like these. Just the pettiness of it really calls to me. But anyways, that's it for today. Bye!